continue the last presentation of this series on President Trump. So maybe if you want to just focus on Trump before Biden, or also both, yeah, okay, yeah. So the things that kind of highlight again in terms of this period is in terms that from Obama, Trump, and Biden is the way the world see U.S. power as not as before, and then also how Americans also see their role in the world is also kind of changing. Whether this is actually a sign for U.S. decline, so then U.S. need to retreat, focus on their own domestic affairs, and let others to replace, or this is something that kind of by product of the way U.S. leading the world, because U.S. since the beginning emphasized that the way U.S. leadership is not conducted or done through dominations, but actually try to build broader coalitions, alliance. So meaning that giving others participation in the leadership. So Simon Sarfati will say that this is basically consequences of the type of U.S. leadership that being built. So giving space for others to rise. And related to that, yeah, like the discussion that whether U.S. in decline, but maybe it's not U.S. in decline, but actually other country actually on the rise. Not necessarily that other country in the rise, that U.S. means that it's slowing down or something like that. So others maybe see on that way. But President Trump or Trump presidency actually quite unique, and maybe many of us experience that. So that's the things that surprise most of us in terms that like America first, bringing the term of America first, and then exit from a lot of multilateral organizations, from WHO, from Paris agreements, and also the way using transactional diplomacy for in many of trade war or trade relations, right? Rather than creating organizations or alliance, Trump very much emphasized on, okay, so I will give you 50% tariffs, and then let's negotiate. So it's kind of transactional that you give me what I want, I will give you what I want. So this is kind of the approach. So this group will maybe bring more detail in terms of that, but this question that should guide your or say the way you are listening the group in terms that do you think that actually Trump presidency or this unique approach is some things that kind of just momentarily change, some things that after Trump U.S. will be like before or something like that, or this is some things that structurally change U.S. foreign policy. And continuing to that, and to what extent that the impact of Trump approach in foreign policy, it will in terms of U.S. leadership for the long run. So this is the things that may become your guiding or said questions when you are listening to the group. So group, you have time to present, and yeah, so ask what you can.
Okay, good morning everyone. Today we're gonna talk about the best ever president in US history. If you don't believe me, I will give the proof man after this. Okay, our topic presentation is Donald Trump administration between power, controversy, and political comedy. So let me introduce group. My name is Saulia Zikri. Okay, we move on to profile of Donald Trump. From businessman to political shocker. Yeah, Donald Trump born in 1946, become 45 U.S. president. was a rich businessman and TV star, won the 2016 election and no political experience. His famous slogan, "Make America Great Again." Trump was not a politician, he was a businessman who shocked the world by becoming a president. He came from a rich family, built lazy image, and made himself famous. Many Americans like him because he seems different, more like a real guy than a typical politician. His style was loud, dramatic, and full of controversy. Is he smart? Maybe not in the usual way, but he's very good at getting attention and controlling the media. He knows how to be viral, even he says crazy things. Yeah, unique facts about Donald Trump, the first president to appear in WWE is SmackDown and Home Alone too. He's building his own name all around the world and his habit eating McDonald's for safety. Okay, we talk about Trump leadership time. Trump ways of leading was very different. He act more like a boss than a president. He didn't follow the rules, didn't always listen to experts, and often made decisions based on his feelings. Some people hate this, but others love it. He didn't try to bring people together. He wanted to win and lose. This might work in business, but in politics, it created a lot of problems. He was good at creating drama and staying popular. Is a type of leadership style is populist, transactional, strong brandings, and style. Next, so this is as I said before, I will give improvement if he a best president in U.S. history.
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. But Mr. Trump, you're not a nice person. That's true. Actually, I am. I think I am a nice person. The American dream is dead. If I get elected president, I will bring it back. Bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And we will make America great again.
Okay. You see that? We don't need nice. We don't need nice. What of kind type of American citizen why? I want. So this improvement from Donald Trump said, I will be the greatest job president that God ever created.
Okay, so now we're talking about the policy, and I will highlight the domestic policies that have the big change, made a big change, but also caused a big problems. So the first one is tax cut. So Trump made a policy that tax cut which that help a large business, but beside the big problem is it makes the people say that it makes the rich richer, but it makes the government budgeting was broken. So the second one is the Obamacare. So at his campaign, Trump wants to remove the Obamacare, but a lot of citizens don't want it to be removed. So it's still there until no. So the third, the strict immigration rules. So Trump made a strict policy that was separating children uh, from their parents at the US and Mexico borders. So the last one is the COVID-19 response. This one is really weird and funny at the same time because he said that the COVID-19 is not that serious and he just gave a strange advice to like bring lunch and instead of looking for a solution, he just blaming China for having this COVID-19. Okay, so as what our title before, the political comedy. This is the five funny but real things from Donald Trump as leadership. So we can imagine how Trump looks is from Komeng. Do you know Komeng? DPR ya? DPD, the comedian. Yeah. He doesn't have any political background, but he can be chosen as DPD for this period. Because of his also funny slogan, "Uhui spontan." Trump also have this funny, what is it called? Uh, personal brand. So the first one is Twitter diplomacy. So instead of making policy in a formal way, Trump liked to write a Twitter himself that he ever write foreign policy only by tweeting 218 characters. So the second one is alternative fact. So his team often give information, but it wasn't true, and some people call it it looks like it's spreading lies more than and look like fake news. But they still say that it was uh, alternative fact. So the third is legendary hair. Who doesn't know about the unique hair of Trump? So this is very famous, and even if it is looks strange, and many people became joke or meme, but it was also part of his personal brand. So this one also funny. If you guys know, he ever tweet a word like the constant, despite the constant negative press cough-phoebe. Until today, there's no one know what cough-phoebe means. Like, what he tweet about? Okay, so the last one is build the wall. So he promised at his campaign he wants to build the wall between the Mexico um, at the on the border with Mexico, but at the end, he only made a small part of the wall that was actually built. Next is for the foreign policy, America first, Alice last. So, um, as it was stated here, America first, Alice last. That means that Donald Trump has the philosophy of always putting America first and their ally last without any discussion or international agreement and things like that. The first one is that life first climate deal and World Health Organization. Just like Naya stated before, the Trump doesn't really take COVID seriously, and he thinks that the World Health Organization is a pro-China bias. That's why there's he left Paris Climate Deal and the World Health Organization. The second one is that started a trade war with China. I believe it's still going on until now. But yeah, since Trump believed that China was unfairly stealing American jobs and intellectual property through unfair trade practices, he imposed tariffs on Chinese products to force China to change its policies and bring manufacturing back to the US. But it also got worse since most of American brands they got their supply from China and their tariffs like Trump did it. And yeah, third one is that he met Kim Jong Un but got nothing. Like he just like met him without any agreement, any discussion. Just like he met Kim Jong Un. The last but not least is that moved U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. This is actually a big deal since
we all know that the genocide happening in the Palestine is super kind of like controversial. That's why he moved U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, and the um, Americans hate it because it makes the genocide that happening in Palestine getting worse day by day. Next is social and political. The first one is that responded to the Black Lives Matter protest with law and order. So as you guys know, the Black Lives Matter protesting about the George Floyd and total police brutality, he responded with law and order and have like police and military forces involved. And he stated that the protest is so chaotic and dangerous. Next is that the spread fake news about the election. He said that the election was rigged and things like that. So he thinks that, oh yeah, the election is super rigged, and he spread fake news even though, okay. The third one is that called the media the enemy. Why? Because he thinks that some media have a bias on a political view or any political actor, so that he called every media the enemy, and it makes the Americans think that, oh, which media should I trust for the facts and checks and rechecks too. Last but not least, that made the country more divided. This still happening until now. You know that Trump called the immigrants like the aliens, and also there is a phrase called "us versus them," and also Trump is dividing, or maybe we could say harming the marginalized community, such as people of color, black people, immigrants, and everyone included in the marginalized community.
In 2020, Biden and Trump are the candidates of the US presidential election. Then after Biden wins the election, Trump didn't agree and feels like, oh, the election was unfair for me, and he claimed the election was stolen from me. And so many courts and even Trump's team was tried in many ways to change the result. And because of that, they all still failed because some of his supporters attacked Capitol Hill on January in 2021. And after that, Trump was get impeached a second time, but fortunately, he's still free until now. And even though he lost the election, Trump still be one of the powerful person in political. So in the 2020 election and what happened after show how much Trump changed, how many Americans sees democracy and trust the election. Next, please. The legacy and political impact. In that time, Donald Trump isn't the president anymore, but Trump presents styles, still shaped and popular in politics in the US. Even the politicals feels like reality show and focus more on image than policy using direct language on social media. Honestly, he's very active in Twitter and he called Twitter diplomacy. Because of that, Trump, the Republican Party has changed. The now is the pro-Trump or no. And then he also inspired the populist leader in other countries like Brazil, Hungary, and Philippines. And globally, US allies start doubting if they could still trust America and international teamwork with him. Even with all the drama and the controversy, Trump has some big awareness that is record low employment before COVID-19, historic peace and deals in the Middle East, made NATO allies spend more, and the challenges China in Sweden. Love him or not, Trump changed how we define political leadership, not just in America, but in the world.
Okay. Thanks to all this. the last slide is conclusions. Last slide. Politics today is about emotions and tensions. Populist leaders and can rise anywhere. Media literacy is more important than ever. Donald Trump was funny, bold, and yes, sometimes it's dangerous. He didn't change politics by writing detailed policies, but using emotions, drama, and the power of social media. He showed the world that people don't just follow a leader for their plans, but for how the leader makes them feel. Instead of using traditional arguments, Trump used blunt, direct, and sometimes absurd language, but it worked. He reached people who feel ignored by political elite. Many disagree with this method, but could not deny his ability to shape his image and control the story. The Trump era reminds US that in today's world, having smart idea is not enough. What matters more is who can control the narrative and connect emotionally with the public. That's why media literacy is such an essential skill to help us think critically in the manual of such information. Next. Okay, this important slide is what we can learn from this. Uh, Honestly, we're not here to tell you that Donald Trump was a bad, dumb, or ridiculous president. In fact, we believe he was one of the smartest and most strategic president in modern U.S. history. Yes, we spent most of this presentation talking about the chaos, the controversy, and the strong twist, the strange twist, and the shocking decision. But that's point, we often judge success only by what looks good. But Trump show US you show us that the messy, the word, and the loud can also be part of a winning strategy. Behind all the humor, the failures, and the real moments, there was always plan, a tactic, a message that to his leadership just in a very different form. If someone asks me, do you think Donald Trump was a successful leader? My answer is yes, absolutely. Not because he followed the rules, but because he rewrote them and still managed to get half the country to follow him. And that's not just a power, that's a legacy. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, very interesting. Very also other duty that we may most of us expect here before that we may hear a lot of criticism on Trump's issue that kind of this very unique things, but do you think that actually this uniqueness is something that maybe will be represent in in the future of U.S. foreign policy? That this is kind of something that will become, as Alia mentioned, this will be the legacy that will be followed by the next leader, or by some people, maybe the old generation will say that this is just what's it, anomaly, that the US will come back to the previous what's it, style approach, something like that. So I don't know how would you see that, whether Trump actually represents the future of US foreign policy. Because we start with US foreign policy from the beginning, right? After World War II, then now we are coming to the current moments, and the question will be, is this actually the future that we may see, or maybe this is just kind of temporary flux or something? Yeah, so maybe you can address that, or and also in what extent that Trump approach from the presentation, we see that despite this messiness, it works. You mentioned it works, and a lot of achievement that they make that it may help us to reconsider or rethink on how we assess leadership success. Welcome. Anyone want to comment or questions? Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Um, I think, thank you for the opportunity. I think all of us know already that Donald Trump have a lot of scandals, especially in immigration policy. So, guys, based on your opinion, why did people criticize the Trump's immigration policy?
Okay, as I said before, at the um, um, uh, at the yes, domestic policies. So, as I said before, he made a big change, but also caused a big problem, and that was one problem. The policy of making the immigration, this people criticize this because, as I said before, he separate the children and the parents. Sorry. Okay. So it was separating children from their parents at the U.S. and Mexico borders. So this is so strict. That's why people thought it was a cruel and unfair idea. Maybe that's all.
Any follow-up questions? Indeed.
Sorry.
Okay, okay. So, as you asked before about the policy of how the immigration policy things, right? So here's the why you say why did the people criticize that? It because as what you see and as what I said before, this is his role is was separating children from their parents. Like, can you imagine how the parents feel or the children feel if they're separated? That's why people thought it was a cruel idea. It was an unfair idea, and this is very strict. So this caused the controversial, and yeah, people thought it was not a, not yeah, a cruel idea.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other thought? Any friends? Yeah.
I want to ask your question, your opinion actually about comedic politics. Do you think it is effective to lure citizens, or is it just sign of unprofessionalism in society?
Okay, in my opinion, yeah. I think the Trump style is not work in Indonesia. Why? We have bureaucracy and blah 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 blah. Blah. But Donald Trump don't care about that. He make a policies by his feelings. I think it's call it professional because he's president.
I have something. Actually, comedic politics is happening in Indonesia with all
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
we're
actually,
recruiting some.
okay. My opinion. Well, maybe yes, it is true. Even if I said before about yeah, okay. It does happen, but only at the champagne. If you saw it at the period of when he's leading, uh, President Prabowo not making it happen at his presidential era. I mean, he made it at his campaign, but Trump did it at his leadership era, leadership period. Like he tweeted when he was the president, like President Prabowo might terobos masuk, but it only had his champagne so that people feel, oh, he's really friendly, or he's really blah blah blah, or sometimes his love story made us feel, oh, is he with Buditi, blah 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 blah. But it's not happening in now for now. Like no one care about that either. Yes.
Thank you. Adelia, or want to add to your thoughts on that?
I think it might. You can like be like comedic politics, and it could lure citizens. I wait, hold on. I can assure you that it could, but like what just like Maya said, it mostly done on my campaign, not on the leadership, because if you actually do it on the leadership, especially here, you would get criticized like super bad by the citizens, and you could be in a meme. But since Trump, I think Trump is anti-regionalism, since I don't even know what's going on in his mind, to be honest. Like his policies, his agreements, and what he did to everyone, it's just like inhuman and doesn't make any sense like that.
Okay, thank you. And
Patient.
Nisha, oh yeah, Nisha, anything to add? Because it seems that, if I'm not mistaken, you also said this is a very effective leadership kind of style. Do you see that this will be kind of approach of the next presidency in the future, that U.S. foreign policy will be like this, very much emphasize on America first, not so much in the world, or how do you see that? Okay, maybe how do you think U.S. foreign policy under Trump? Do you think it is something positive or negative or something in between? Or how do you see it?
I think it's half positive and half negative.
Okay.
Half is controversial and drama and something like stuff like that. But in the positive way, they successfully become leaders and like this government make American great again. In how positive.
Okay. And what is the how negative is? That's how positive. No? So, what things that maybe you are worried that this may be bringing bad to Americans or bad to the world, or something like this.
His family kind of like I think his kind of like straight, movie, and I think it's a you know not a bad way, but in something like that.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we last question now. I think there's a speech from the Singapore Prime Minister. I said it to the group also in terms that when we reflect in terms that U.S. Post World War II creating certain order, right? Liberal order and this kind of institutions that actually built by U.S. During its leadership that very much in line with the U.S. Interests, creating these international institutions, creating free trade, this kind of thing, then this Singaporean Prime Minister basically see that this is actually kind of U.S. is not only this is some things that out of normalcy, but it's also kind of destroying the one that they built before, so something like that. So how do you see that? So do you think that actually this is correct understanding of Trump leadership that by exiting from WHO, Paris agreements, doing transactional trade tariff, this actually undermining not only the current situation, but actually undermining the whole system that U.S. itself actually the one that built for the last 50 years. So how would you do? How would you see that? Do you agree with this Prime Minister or Singapore Prime Minister, or do you kind of disagree with them?
You mean the Prime Minister of
Singapore.
Singapore agree with Donald Trump?
No, the Prime Minister of Singapore criticizing Donald Trump policy that actually what he's doing actually is not just out of normal, but actually destroying what the things that U.S. for the last 50 years built. Because U.S. is actually the one that built, basically supporting UN, supporting World Bank, supporting IM, supporting a lot of these institutions, right? But now U.S. Themselves or itself that actually abandoning the system, uh, creating WTO, negotiating with those free trade, but now actually abandoning WTO that start doing this with other countries, transactional tariff that I will put tariff on you like this and let's see how you respond or something. So this is how Trump did, right? So then many leaders, country leaders, actually seeing that this is something that not only negative in that moment, but actually we see that it's destroying the whole system that U.S. actually built for the last 50 years. So how do you see that? This is a correct assessment of what Trump did, or do you disagree with this assessment?
Uh, as Indonesian people,
Yes. Okay.
I disagree with Donald Trump policy or policies because I don't know. Like I said before, he make policy by his feelings. I don't know what his feeling at the time when he no, zero tariff to Singapore. So and he left all with Paris Agreement or what WHO. So that's not it's not good policy. I think it's not good policy for the image the American world.
Others want to comment on that question because I think this kind of conclude the whole discussion from the beginning. We want to see that the reverse liberal order that we start seeing in the aftermath of that Cold War, World War II, even being defended against the challenge from USSR, Soviet Union, and communists. And but now actually US is actually abandoning that system itself. So do you see that's what's happening right now, or do you think that this is just maybe temporary and we will see something else after Trump? See how? Yeah.
We just it's my personal opinion. I think that the opinion from the Prime Minister of Singapore, I think that it's not out of the prejudice, but destroying what America has built. Because I think, yeah, I'm quite agree with that because when America trying to build like WHO to balance and to make a good trade relations between countries. And I think the purpose of that is for the other countries can see that of America in our side, and this is a good it's a good thing to make build trust public from the other countries, and for WHO and also the initiative and Paris Agreement, what they can build it's same and similar with WHO, and the country at that time will see that America in our side and they are trust in America. But the decision made by Trump that we have to transactional maybe now we cannot see, but it will declining the trust from the other countries. What America they are didn't consistent with their policy, and maybe in some of 1 to 2 years it will not see, but I think it will impact for their long diplomacy impact when they want to build maybe a new department or a new organization. People will rethink again is it will be consistent or not, and I think that Trump he has his idealistic for the America first, but I think for the future, maybe some of other countries will see that yeah, America is not consistent, and maybe they will see for another market, and it will decline the influence of America in the world.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Okay, the last comments. I haven't heard from Jody, Cito, Afra, to the back. Okay, anyone from Sawa also? So the one who hasn't speak till now, yang belum ngomong sampai sekarang, mungkin ada any few comments. Waktu istirahat kayaknya rame banget mau ngobrolin asik. Okay. Anyone who's anyone with Sawa atau sama itu siapa Sawa? Georgina, ya, Siva, ya, Siva, and apa sama apa siapa? Bunga, ya, bunga. Kira, masih ya, masih. Jody juga. Okay. Belum ngomong ya, silakan. Do you feel, okay, let me just rephrase the question on that. Do you feel the impact of what Trump policy or US foreign policy under Trump, and how would you see that impact to yourself, your own personal life? So that, do you feel that actually you are impacted negatively or actually positively or neutral, something like, oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's a bad decision, but it's not directly related to my life or maybe the future. Or do you think that, oh, I think I'm just like Alia mentioned, as an Indonesian, I see that it's how do you yourself actually with Indonesia now, also tarif 19%, and you have to buy apa, this jet, or sorry, yeah, access. Okay, so how would you see in terms of that? Do you think that as opportunity because now we have a lot of American company coming, or do you see it's a threat because now maybe you will compete with Americans and gimana jadi takut nggak di masa depan? Si Nol Afra gimana? Kayaknya pada optimis karena ada senyum-senyum. So you don't feel any or okay, Siri, you want to say something? Or comments? Okay. But yeah, let's just try to bring down the whole discussion of strategy, diplomacy, or maybe the treaty alliance into our own maybe life. So do you see that in what extent this group can also comment if you think that what extent that this actually will impacting your life as foreign policy in a good or in a bad way, and how would you see your future? Do you see that more become more optimistic with the deal that we had with President Trump, with President Prabowo, or not that? Because the future is yours. I'm part of the past. Okay. Oh, that doesn't care. Okay.
Not optimism.
Huh?
Not optimism.
Okay, maybe
I suggest to you all kabur aja dulu.
Okay, what I did do. I feel that's actually bring a lot of something kind of negative to.
Like what Bruce said, like Donald Trump is inconsistent policy. So we are I'm myself not optimist for this policy.
Okay. Any other comments? Last comment for today? Yes.
Is there also, maybe it's for us as international relation, we can learn it and think about it more critically and more detail about the past and now how the policy was going on until today. So we care about how policy was built and etc. But how the citizen, especially Gen Z, look at how policy is going on. It's not how us see it. Like, well, as you can see, like maybe Trump was chosen because of his dramatic and chaos and something comedy. That's why a citizen chose him, and most of who choose him is not. I'm sorry, like your generation and above, but our generation to up. So that's why I think at the picture it's pretty scary because not citizen at this era not really that care to policy things and yeah, just look at what at the social media and judge what they look by maybe only one video or one Twitter or yeah.
Thank you very much. Donato, although you are guest here, but I want to hear your say. Because you do have a charm hair. So how do you see Trump maybe like for closing this session?
Uh, Actually, I don't know what do I say. Yeah.
So, because you are graduating soon, others still maybe another year. Are you optimistic with your future, with all this global challenges? Jadi lebih optimis dengan kayaknya peluang lebih banyak terbuka sekarang. Or do you feel scared about your
No,
future?
I feel uh, confident about my future.
Okay.
Because I already planned my future career. So
So it's not really impacted by what happened.
for me, yeah, for me.
Okay. So secure. Okay. So okay. So yeah, thank you. So thank you. No problem. So yeah, the big ideas of all this is just underline what Serena mentioned earlier. So we in our classroom we talk a lot of big issues, global issues, policy, strategy, in war, but always try to bring that also in reflection of our own life, because you are the one will decide, you will choose your leader, you will, maybe some of you will sit there drafting the policy, make the policy, or sit, both agree or disagree on policy, and you are also and when you are there, so it's you and your generation actually the one that will get the benefit or maybe the negative impact of the policy, right? So this is basically the purpose of we are talking, why we are talking those things that far away, because those things that very far away now is kind of very close to our home, right? A lot of policy maybe later on become really should feel directly, not only in the big city, but maybe also because just like Trump said in the Twitter, right? Now our farmers, our ranchers, so the U.S. American farmers can access Indonesia market free, right? Because it means that it will be your challenge. So probably some of you may be coming here because your father has many hectares of kebun sawit atau sawah, something like that. But now your fathers or maybe later on you have to compete with American farmers to be more sophisticated, using technology, more efficient, having a lot of skills. Before they do have difficult to compete because you can see, oh, barang Amerika is good, but it's too expensive, right? Because there's a supply. But now the price may be kind of the same. Nasi apa rendangnya apa sapi dari sini or maybe the nasi padang you use maybe US beef rather than apa dari NTT. I don't know. Okay, so I like NTT. Okay. So yeah, so try to always bring this discussion on. Yeah. Okay. So we still have around a week or two. So just focus completing your summary, 5 summaries, and last final essay. So that will be your focus in the next 2 weeks, and completing that means that you basically finish this course. Okay, so we still meet on Wednesday, but that's your goals until the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Any last questions? No? So give a big round of applause to the group. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next week. Okay. Have a good weekend. Yeah.